covenless witch.
It's been Agatha all along. All that's foul and fair.
She took every little bit of power I had, assembling a coven. We gotta get back on top. I'm gonna walk the road.
Darkest hour, wake thy power, earthly and divine.
Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Agatha All Along, Episode 7, That's Hand in Mine. Before I get into spoilers, let's do a little high overview of this episode. I think this is one of the best written episodes. It is done so well. It has a very different format, and I just really loved it. I think Patti LuPone, MVP of the episode, like she just goes out, gives it her all. We knew that it was going to be her trial just based on everything that was going through. But man, oh man, this was really entertaining. It gave me there's a sequence in Watchmen, either the comic book or the movie, that it kind of reminded me of that, and I really love that. Like it just brought back all those vibes of me checking out those pages. Really cool stuff. So we're gonna get into spoilers. If you haven't seen the episode, make sure to come back and check it out. It is a good one. Let's do it. Spoilers ahead. All right. So we begin with Lilia falling like this empty void, very similar to the imagery from Get Out, where we see our protagonist kind of falling into the darkness. Then we finally catch up with Billy and Agatha as they arrive on a castle. We saw them last episode. They were still walking down the witch's road after everything that happened. When they go into the castle, of course they transform. Billy is Maleficent. Agatha looks like the Wicked Witch of the West. So really fun that they're kind of dressed up as all these witches, and we've seen some of the other witches. So we'll definitely talk about them in a minute. They realize that the trial here is reading tarot cards, but because they're not doing it correctly, because it's not their trial, swords begin falling down from the ceiling, and the ceiling starts coming down, right, as they run out of time. Then we catch up with Lilia and Jen in a tunnel, but Lilia doesn't remember what's happening. And this is kind of where that thing kicks off, where Lilia is experiencing she explains that she's experiencing her life out of order. And that's why we've seen her like throughout the show. They kind of stitch all those instances together of like her seeing something or saying something that feels to be out of place. This is where Patti LuPone really just plays the character so well. So we see her, Leah, just experiencing all those moments, flashing back all the way back to centuries. Now, in my notes, I wrote down that she was with her mom, but the closed captioning also said teacher. I imagine that it was both, like maybe Lilia's mom was also her teacher. Either way, she flashes back all the way back to Sicily. So we know that she's been alive for centuries, right? This concept of experiencing life out of order and the way that it's presented in this episode is what reminded me of Watchmen. Dr. Manhattan experiences all time at the same time because he's a higher being. And that was kind of cool. Like just the way that it was shot, where you would hop from one place to the other. In the comics with Dr. Manhattan is done where he will narrate that he's at a certain spot and then at the same time being in a different spot in time, right? In the movie, they do something very similar where Manhattan starts experiencing a lot of the events at the same time. So here, I like the way that Lilia, like her life is kind of being rearranged. It's really cool. So most of the episode we spend with Lilia and Jen getting to the tower as well. And this is where they show up. Lilia is the Glenda, the Good Witch, and Jen is the witch from Snow White, the queen that becomes the witch from Snow White. So really cool. We do see that Lilia finds the book, Billy's book. Now, one thing that I found very interesting is that Lilia doesn't address Billy as William or Billy, even though the sigil's gone. She continues to address him as teen. And one of the questions that Billy asks while Lilia was reading the tarot for him because she thought he was supposed to be the traveler, was, am I William or am I Billy? And that seemed to be the right question at the time. But it turns out that was not the case. When Billy's getting his tarot read, he is the magician, and the card that comes next is the sun, which is what he would want, which represents a reunion, which we imagine would be with Billy. One thing I also pointed out real quick in my notes during a conversation with Agatha on the way to the tower, Billy asks if she believes the Scarlet Witch is dead, and she says yes, and then no, and then maybe. Like, so, it's still very unclear. Um, we travel back to Lilia centuries ago, telling her teacher or her mom, whatever this character is supposed to be, that her coven was wiped out by a fever, and she gave them plenty of warning, but even so, they did not do anything about it. That was very, very interesting. And then we are finally back at the tower where Lilia realizes that what she's doing wrong is that she's actually the traveler. She has already read the tarot to herself with all these little intricate clues all throughout the journey. And she starts pulling out all the cards. All this leading up to the reveal that Rio is confirmed to be Death. I think a lot of us had suspicions. The Funko Pops had already spoiled that part of the character as well. If you were one of those people that are constantly online like myself. So Rio is dead. She lets the coven know, and she finally realizes that she's had her coven, and this is the end of her road. So Lilia, when the trial's over and everyone's allowed to leave, she stays behind to confront the seven. Um, I think the only thing I would say is the Salem Seven. I hope that they come back. I feel like they should have been a bigger threat. It looks like they are taken care of right now because Lilia stays behind. She turns the tower upside down, so everyone, including herself, fall down into the swords. So, like I said, I hope that they can come back, because that would be the only thing that'd be like, you built the Salem Seven up to be like this really scary villain thing, but never really paid off. It almost felt like they were just another device to kind of cut time. So we'll see how that plays out. There's only 2 episodes left, and they will air at the same time next week. So we'll be doing probably an oversized video with the finale. But I'm very excited. Like I said, this was great. Patty Lupone. If this is the last episode we see her in, she was great throughout the series. But I really feel like Billy if Billy finishes the road, what he may realize or what he may do is actually bring the coven back instead to take them away from death. Maybe that'll include Tommy. I don't know. Maybe he will realize that he had the power all along to find Tommy, kind of like in the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy had the power to go home all along. I don't know. We'll see. That's just my theory. But yeah, very interested to see how this plays out. At the end, they played "Time in a Bottle," which is a fantastic song to end with. Like I said, I love how thematic the ends of these songs are. Not just for this show. I mentioned this in my Penguin review. The songs at the end thematically do a lot for what the episode just showed us. So great stuff. I'm loving this series so much. It is very exciting. So if you've seen this episode, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.